We still got to do whatchamacallit, her movie, the stripper
Her
movie for
Showgirls.
Showgirls. I started watching it. It's so good. Oh my
I don't think
god,
I've
it's
ever
so
seen
good.
it. I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's insane. She's just like, I don't know if she's on all the cocaine in the world, but
But definitely some of it.
it's just like, just like I'm walking down the street. It's like, oh, this can be good.
Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! It's like watching, yeah!
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan.
I'm Tony. I'm getting
look.
my testosterone pump in for this movie.
Tony's testosterone. Don't
Testosterone.
Don't teach her own.
Yeah. Oh, less pizza.
On this show, we watch a movie and then we comment at length upon the movie.
Unnecessarily so.
we like. It's so funny when we're doing these. I have like all these notes, and I'm like, I get to a scene. I'm like, I'm just not going to bring up this scene, and maybe Tony will forget, so we can
and
skip
I don't
this scene.
forget it.
You don't. It's always a scene that I want to forget, and you're like, I have a bone to pick with that scene.
I need to talk about this scene, please.
So
I feel
this
like
week
we're the friend at the party that like you want to leave, but they just keep talking to you, and you're like, I feel rude leaving, but okay, I'll wait one more point, and then I'm gonna go, and then you still don't. You still don't stop.
Always one. It's like have we ever been under an hour for a show?
I feel like we maybe did that once. Like we should look back and really put a spotlight on that episode as the one we should aim for, but it's not likely.
I watched there's this thing, Joe Blow. It's a guy that does movie reviews.
Okay, sure.
He reviewed this movie sort of, and it's like, I don't know, it's like a 12-minute review or something. It's like 6 minutes is the plot, and then 6 minutes is the commentary. Ours is like an hour and a half.
And it's mostly commentary. It's like 10 minutes plot total, maybe.
My mind-numbing dissection of the stupidity of a thing.
But honestly, in general, I don't feel like this. I mean, just taking this Joe Blow guy, which I'm not, good for you, Joe. I don't feel like that's enough commentary to really let me know what the movie's like.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they said some things in there, like the action scenes were good, and I'm like, wait, what?
That's to me. Those are the weakest parts of the movie, and
those are the weakest.
Spoiler alert. I love this movie, Dan.
Oh yeah, I knew you were gonna love this movie.
Yeah, this is a Tony movie, and I can't believe I hadn't seen it until now.
So the movie that we're talking about is the movie that I picked, which is Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man with Mickey Roarke and Don Johnson.
Don motherfucking Johnson.
No celebrity. They didn't get paid to use all these names. There's also a guy named Jack Daniels. There's also another person is named after something.
The lady's name is Virginia Slim, which I was like, 2 thumbs up.
Virginia Slim. So there was no product placement, and I think this movie took a hit because of the title.
Wait, is that true? There's no. Was that a joke?
What do you mean?
There's no product placement. You're saying that they didn't get paid for using these? That's crazy to me.
They have a little thing at the beginning, just because we use these names doesn't mean it's an endorsement.
I don't read. I don't read. And Don Johnson should have come on and said it. Then I would have listened.
So I think this movie had a strike right out of the gate because of that. Mickey Rourke was starting to sort of go down his path.
Yeah.
And it was super interesting because on this Joe Blow thing, they were talking about Don Johnson and how he never really became a movie star and da 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 da. It's like, yeah, and this movie, I don't know. It's sort of sad because he was so good in this movie.
He is dynamite. He is the coolest guy I've ever seen in my life. I'll say it right now. But I mean, how long did Miami Vice run? It's not like he didn't have a good career.
Well, this was right at the end of Miami Vice, and I think,
got it. Okay,
I think this was
supposed to kind of be the springboard.
Yes, and it died at the box office, and it's got this is what I'll say about it. I enjoyed the movie. I especially enjoy, but I think that what it sort of set up in the first 15, 20 minutes it just didn't pay off as well as it could. There's a great I think there's a great movie hidden in here that was damaged by not understanding exactly what it was doing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great Tony little speeches and talks, and if those had
Yeah.
like how Die Hard works is there's these little
100%.
speeches.
Mhm.
And Die Hard has a few things. His interaction with the cop on the ground was like too corny in Die Hard, and you're just
You
like,
know, like, pal, come on, man.
I mean, it was fine, but we get the Twinkies jokes and all
Sure,
this kind of
sure.
stuff. It teeters. There's some teetering points on even something as great as Die Hard.
Yeah,
And this
for sure.
movie, because it didn't get to that magical finish line that it
Yeah.
could have gotten to, and it's kind of sad because of that. Because it starts out like making a promise that you're like, okay,
It's so, and I mean, we'll really delve into the scenes, but the setup of each character is the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
It comes out swinging hard, and then we kind of dip, and then I feel like it comes back around at the end. But the first like 15 minutes, I was like, holy shit, this movie's gonna rip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
And then there's enough throughout the movie that you're like, oh, okay, this is good. Yeah, this is neat.
Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. We'll watch it again. This is not a one-time viewing for Tony.
Yeah, but there wasn't like some person with this vision that shepherded it right to the end and was like, here it is. This is what this movie's about. Boom.
Yeah.
And it didn't get to that point, and it sort of got buried in a bunch of other stuff that you're just kind of like, oh, well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
1991, hour and 30 minutes. We start off.
This
Harley,
is 91, huh?
91, yeah. Harley.
I really thought this was still in the 80s. Okay, I thought this would have been like 88, 89. Okay, sorry, continue.
Harley's there smoking a cigarette, neon lights, looking out the window, naked lady in his bed.
I mean, this is a fucking mood, Dan. This scene, I was like, woo-wee, hot to trot, my friend. Oh my God, this unbelievable character introduction. He's so cool, and then he talks later and he ruins the coolness for me. But he is so cool, and like when they do, he leaves the room, right? And he looks back at her on the bed, and he's silhouetted by the door. She's in like a sexy shadow, and I was like, holy fuck, this movie's gonna be good, man. We got Bon Jovi ripping on the stereo. Oh, so this is unbelievable. Unbelievable intro.
Before he even gets out the door, pulls out the photo of his wife, doesn't touch the photo, touches the bottom below the photo. I'm like, thank you for not touching the photo.
Yep.
Well,
that's right, Dan. You got a thing about that, don't you? Kissing photos. Yeah.
So he's interacting with the photo. We understand there's a wife that is never going to get resolved at all through the entire movie.
She's gone. You don't know why she's gone. She's gone, Dan. Okay. Otherwise, he wouldn't have touched it so gingerly.
TV's telling us about this weird drug called Crystal Dream that you put in through your eyes. It's in the near future, 5 years in the future.
Yeah, which was so weird to me. I don't understand that choice.
I kind of like it because they're like, everything's going to be the same. So it's like television hasn't changed. This hasn't changed. But there's some things that are a little different in this world that has moved in this sort of direction. I mean, 5 years is too little.
It's too little. I want to make a movie, Dan, that like starts with like 2 weeks into the future, and you think it's going to come back to the present, and it never does. It's just 2 weeks in the future, you fuckers.
So he puts on this leather jacket that has all this shit all over it that you never can really clock because he's always moving, and you never really could have go look at the jacket. But it says Harley Davidson on the back, and it's red and black leather. You're like, okay, this is good.
And like you said it before, but the neon lights, it's so pretty. This opening scene is so pretty.
Yeah. He's at the Ugly and Honest gas station. It's also a Circle K. It's also 4th of July.
Yeah, a lot going on.
We do this motorcycle porn where we see his motorcycle, just great motorcycle porn. We're like that.
Yep.
Then he hits the road, and we have the credits. Bon Jovi, Wanted Dead or Alive.
Dead or Alive. alive. Oh my God. I'm fucking in heaven during this intro. I was rocking out.
We see Daniel Baldwin, Tom Sizemore, someone
Okay,
named...
so that's Daniel.
That's
How
Daniel
many
Baldwin.
Baldwins are there, and why do they all look so similar?
Well, they all look very different if you paid any attention in the
I
world.
must not pay attention because he came on screen and was like, I know it's a Baldwin. I just don't know which one.
Oh, well, Billy's kind of the younger, and the main one.
Sure. I feel like
He's
I
the
would know
main one.
Alec. I
Yeah.
feel like I would know Alec. But then
Yeah.
there's Steven, right, as well?
I don't know that.
I
just know Daniel. I just know
There's
Dan.
so many
I know
Baldwins.
Wait, yeah, Steven. Is that the young one? Is that what I just said? Steven. Yeah. That's the young one. Yeah,
I don't know.
Who knows?
There's a lot of Baldwins, guys.
So we're cruising. We're seeing the roads. He's heading back to Los Angeles from, where was he? Vegas or someplace?
No, because they go to Vegas later. I don't remember where he was.
Said where he was.
Yeah.
Super cool. First 5 minutes of the movie, super cool. You're like, okay, I'm invested.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah.
We're into
It's
the 80s, 90s.
Oozing cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets a gas station. We go inside the gas station. There's two guys robbing the gas station. Talk about the robbery scene, Tony.
Well, first of all, I would like to think that if I ever walked into a robbery, I would be as cool and calm as Rourke in this situation. Because no, you don't think so? You think I'd buckle under the pressure?
No, you'd be terrible. You'd be crawling on the floor. It'd be a nightmare.
I think I'd be crying and shaking.
You would
like,
start
please,
crying.
God, don't you?
Yeah.
But he sees it from the outside. This is why I love it so much. He sees the robbery happening from the outside, and he's like, I should go in there. He just casually walks up, just straight to the counter, and it's like, hey, can I get 10 on pump too?
He has like a
cool, man.
Wadded up $10 bill. He just throws on the counter. He's like, can I get 10 on two? Just doesn't even acknowledge the existence of what's going on in the world.
Never makes eye contact with them until he kicks the shit out of them. Oh my God, dude. It's so cool.
But once again, it's a little corny, and you're like,
sure. I am okay, as I'm sure people on here know, corn is my favorite snack, okay? So I will eat up that corn ball any day.
So he just gives them a beating.
Did you remember the line he delivers?
I didn't write down any of the lines. He does say, man, if I had a nickel for every time someone put a gun in my face,
right.
I'd be a
rich man.
I'd be a rich
something
man.
like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The lines are pretty good. They're not
but
perfect,
there's a lot of great
good.
one-liners in here. A lot of them. Most of them, I will say, come from Don Johnson. The majority of the lines that I wrote down that I was like, life creed, number one, that they're all Don Johnson. But this was a good Mickey Roarke scene.
Yeah. And so after he beats them, for some reason the attendants, Kelly Hugh, who people sort of point that out like it's a big thing. I don't know who she is, but
I don't know who she is either. I guess we should have done some research.
So she's like, "Hey, mister, got a name?" And he's like, "Harley, ... Harley Davidson." I'm like, very good. Says it on the back of his coat, but what?
Oh,
God. Bring it home.
Yeah, it's so good. And she offers him gas for free or something, and it's just like, yeah, man, you're cool, dog. I love it.
Take all the gas you want. I'm like, okay, that's good.
Oh yeah.
So he goes out to a place called the Eagle's Nest, which is in Burbank, not Burbank.
It's got to be Burbank because they talk about the airport in a minute, which we're going to talk about.
So it's a strip bar. I was watching this on the laptop. My wife was behind me, and watching this scene, and she's like, "Why are the strippers all performing on top of motorcycles instead of a strip pole?
Excellent question.
They have a motorcycle."
I have the same question though, Dan. I feel like we really need to do some research on this bar, on whether or not.
No, this is not Burbank. This is not Burbank. This is the first bar. Sorry, Burbank's later.
Oh, Burbank's later. Okay.
Yeah. This is the first, just random bar somewhere.
We need to find out if this bar exists and if that's a thing, because I had the same thought. I was like, she is topless and just moving very sexy on a motorcycle. I've never heard of that before in my life. No. And I kind of dig it. Good for them.
It makes sense. It's a thing that you can do, Just like, spot weld a motorcycle in the middle of the... middle of the stage, and that's where all the action happens.
It's so weird.
Weird.
I love it. What a bizarre thing.
So Don Johnson is playing pool with this big Native American guy,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
he lays out his 5 rules of playing pool, I guess.
Do you remember them?
Oh, I wrote
'Cause
them
I don't-
down.
Oh, good. I didn't write them down. I thought I was going to remember them.
1, always have a cigarette hanging out of your mouth.
Yep.
2, always know the table. 3,
Which is a given.
make sure you chalk it up. 4, never bet if you can't pay the debt. Never bet
Which is a
can't pay the
great
debt.
line.
If you lose, 5, if you lose, stand up straight, tall, and walk like a man. And then school's out. Boom.
I win.
Then he wins, and then he's all like, "You owe me 5 bills and the night with your woman."
Yeah, so that's the
Really?
part that I wrote down too. I was like, at what point do you think they bet over his woman? Because that's not an out the gate bet. That's not like the first table bet. It's like, you know what? Here, let's bet over your woman. It's like, no, that builds up over time. At like, this is game 4 or 5, and they've been going back and forth. And he's like, tell you what, double or nothing, let me fuck your wife.
And more importantly, well, if Don Johnson loses, what happens? Because
Well, nothing. He doesn't have a woman.
Exactly. What happens?
Oh, I love it.
And so then we have like they fight because the guy doesn't have any money, which is kind of crazy.
And I like that. So here's what I enjoy about these two characters. Don Johnson, not the best in a fist fight, right?
No.
Mickey Roarke, good in a fist fight.
Yeah.
Don Johnson, great shot, shoots a gun like an ace. And Mickey Roarke can't even hold a gun, which we're gonna have to talk about at some point.
Yes.
I like that they're opposites. You know, it's good,
Sure.
man. It's good.
Strangely, Don Johnson never rides a horse in here. He also just rides a motorcycle.
And he rides a bull at the end. Does that help?
That does not count.
No, that doesn't help. Okay, got it.
Well,
Got it. You want him to ride a horse through Burbank?
Maybe. And the fight, he got the cigarette behind the ear during the fight. You know, fight's okay. Okay fight.
Yeah, I mean, the fight itself is the worst part of the scene. So, you know, hey, that's okay. I would prefer, I mean, I love a good fight scene, don't get me wrong, but I would prefer cool cats in a fight as opposed to a cool fight with dull characters. If I had to pick, you know, one of them, I would obviously prefer both to be good, but it is what it is.
And so the fight and most of the action scenes are fairly pedestrian.
Yeah. Yeah, even like the climactic shootout is pretty dull, even in like the 90s, I would say.
And the sad thing is this fight's much better than any of the gunfights. All the gunfights are pretty much
tough.
Terrible.
Yeah, pretty tough.
So, he spent outside. We go outside. He spent 2 years in Dallas. And he's like, "Why? You know what you were doing? I've been thinking.
Back? Yeah,
I've been thinking. He's just 2 years, just like thinking.
It's thinking. Like, yeah, okay, cool. I buy that. Moving on. I hope he thought of something good though, because that's a long time to waste.
So,
the one thing I want to say is in the fight scene, there's a moment that I really enjoyed. The bad guys got Don Johnson pinned to the pool table, and Don picks up the cue ball and smacks the guy in the head twice. The guy doesn't even flinch. He's like still choking him, and Don takes a moment and looks at the cue ball confused, and then hits him a third time, and he falls down. And I was like, yes, guys, that's nice. That's nice.
That's Tony's approach to comedy, except the guy does not ever fall down.
Exactly. Yeah, you would just keep going, be like, what the hell? And then the fight would move on. You can never win that, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
So we got a nice long shot. The two of them are, we see a couple of billboards. There's one for like Vegas, and then there's one for, did you see what it was for? Die Hardest 5.
I for sure did not then. No, I did not see that.
A billboard for Die Hard 5. Good joke.
For them.
Good
I
joke.
love it.
They're sitting up on a billboard. This is they go there one other time.
It's like their hangout.
Mickey Roarke is eating beans out of a can that he's opened up.
Here's what I will say to that. I feel like technically Don should be doing that because that's more of a cowboy move to me. Right?
Well, I know what you're saying, but Don's working on his boots, and so
What?
that's the other thing is he has
That's
these.
true, and they do play a part.
Yeah, so he has these terrible boots that he's duct taping together. Eventually, we
Yeah.
learn that the boots were the only thing that his dad ever gave him, and
Great character moment.
and when Mickey Rourke is asking about them, he's never told him why, because that was just between him and his dad.
Yeah, he's like, well, you could have just told me that. And he's like, I thought it was between me and him. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
And in a
Good
really
lines.
good movie, you'd have that at some important place where there's jeopardy.
Sure.
And, like the boots are playing, these boots being fucked up play an actual role.
Yeah.
And we get an understanding of the characters as opposed to the characters just sort of giving us the dialogue.
Just kind of telling you. Yeah.
Just kind of tell us stuff. And all this stuff's very interesting, but if it's somehow weaved into the story.
Sure. They do have a lot of moments where they kind of like separate from the action and have like heart to hearts in which you kind of find out a lot about them, which would be a little more organic if it was, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
If it was woven in. Yeah.
If it just tied in somehow. The boots meaning this thing to him, like, I'm not leaving without my boots. They had to take off the boots and he has to go back in and risk his life for these boots.
I mean, they come in at the end. They save his life.
Did they save his life? I don't remember.
Yeah, we'll talk about it then.
Oh, okay.
You don't even remember. We'll talk about it.
I don't remember anything. And then Mickey Rourke does a whole thing. It's like, I've been thinking about something better. I mean, like God, like to meet the dude,
Yeah. Which... To me, and I know like I don't think that's what they're going for, but I was like, is he okay? Like this guy's talking about death a lot. I don't know, man. Maybe check up on him.
And I mean, maybe that's what it's about. Maybe he's, thinking he's going to shuffle off the mortal coil, oh. And you need to set up these big archetypal things about the person at the beginning so that we, when things happen along that journey, we go, oh, look at that. He did a thing and almost died. Maybe he wants to die. You have to sort of carry us along.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
they go out to Burbank Airport, and this is the central idea is that Burbank Airport has expanded. There's all these high rises in Burbank. And so this bar that his buddy owns is having financial problems basically because Burbank has expanded.
Well, it's two things. One, his lease is almost up after 30 years.
Yeah.
Is that a real lease length?
Absolutely.
That is crazy. 30 years is too long, guys, because things change much quicker than 30 years. He's paying $350 a month for a bar. That is amazing. I would love to have a bar for $350 a month. That's incredible stuff.
Well, more importantly, you're only paying that on your lease. Why the fuck aren't you making lots of money with your bar?
Right, you should have a bunch saved up, and this probably shouldn't be an issue, if we're being honest. But
this happens all the time. It happens on Melrose. Like, the comic store I went to, they got kicked out of their spot because the landlord's like, oh, this is worth $1 billion. And then they just move somewhere else. Places just move and the business goes with them. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And
so, okay. So my question is, when was Burbank Airport built? Do we know that?
I have no idea.
Because I
did not do my Burbank Airport.
I should have done it because I did have this. I knew I was going to ask you this question. I should have done my own research, and I did not because I'm a lazy SOB. But they say Don Johnson is basically like, yeah, they built an airport in Burbank. Can you believe that? And I was like, so was this before the airport was built? And in those 5-year gap, is that when it got built between the present day and the 5 years in the future?
It's an international airport now. That's the change.
Oh, so they're saying they made it bigger. They built an international airport. You're absolutely right. They do say the word international. Okay, I was just a little confused. I was like, I feel like the Bob Hope's been around for a while. It may not be called Bob Hope all the time. But I was like, I feel like it's been here a while.
It's absolutely been there since the 60s. Those buildings were not built in the
so
70s
the
or
5-year
80s.
gap in the future allowed them to expand it to a much bigger airport. Okay,
Now
it's all...
Yeah, and if it was an international airport, they wouldn't build another international airport that close to each other. But if
that would be silly. LAX would be pissed.
Yeah, it just wouldn't make any sense. And there would have to be that amount of hotels and everything for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm glad it's not because I love flying out of Burbank. It's amazing. It's so fast. It's so easy.
So he gives the gun that he got off the guy who he fought with in the thing to Don Johnson, and Don Johnson admires the gun. And it's actually a sweet little moment when he gives him that gun and how appreciative he is of it. Don Johnson, really good actor.
Yes, sir. Yeah, like for real, he's great. I don't have enough good things to say about him from this movie. That's how much I liked him.
And I think that's sort of the problem with a lot of movie criticism is you should be talking about how good Don Johnson is in this movie, even though this movie is pretty, even if you just view it as a terrible movie.
Which is fair. It's fair because it's a silly action. It's a testosterone fit. Like, it's a ridiculous movie. But he is so good in it. Like, legitimately so good. And even if the critics are slamming it, he should have come out unscathed, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a little, it's like in Battlefield Earth, Travolta is terrible from top to bottom.
Yes,
and,
that is correct.
And that's him. That's not the director. That's not the screenwriter. No. He is terrible. Sir. Don Johnson takes these lines in these situations that are absurd, whatever, and he makes them feel like he's a real person in this world.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, it's incredible.
Screw you, Tony.
Wait, what did I do?
What didn't you do, Tony?
I'm advocating for him.
So he shoots his Kawasaki and refers to it, of course, as a rice burner.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
The rice rockets. Okay, here's the thing, though. You skipped the part where he tells Mickey Roarke to shoot the bike first.
Yes.
And he shoots. No one knows where that bullet went. Like, that's a stray bullet, guys. That is very dangerous, first of all.
Yeah.
But then after Don shoots his bike, this is the line he says to Mickey Roarke. He says, if you were shooting for shit, you wouldn't get a whiff. And I was like, what? Oh, my God. These guys are great, man. I had a riot. I wrote down a lot of my favorite lines, just so you know.
That's fine, because I probably didn't write them out. So we get in this club. This is the Rock and Roll Bar and Grill.
Great name. I would go.
Inside is all Hollywood memorabilia, John Wayne posters, but also science fiction movie posters.
Yeah, of course,
But it's also a torch bar. Vanessa Williams on stage singing one of a couple of songs that she sings, looking very attractive. I was like, is that Vanessa Williams? Vanessa Williams, incredibly attractive. You're like, okay.
Cheers movie.
And then we find out that Harley slept with her, and her boyfriend is here at the bar, and he wants to kill Harley.
But only a little, if we're being honest.
Yeah. So you go to the back payphone and you punch in. We see Daniel Baldwin for like a fraction of a second coming.
Yeah, barely anything. Yeah,
which doesn't make any sense because it doesn't relate to the movie at all.
Yeah,
I mean, because
it will, but
it's something that we can understand, but he doesn't work for the part of the bank that is collecting the loan.
Correct.
Dealing with that, so there's no reason for him to be here being threatening. But who knows?
But he is, so it's good.
So you click on the payphone and a secret door opens, then a mute guy comes out and he lets you into the back, and in the back is an illegal arm wrestling club?
Yep, I don't know.
Now,
it's cool, though.
What do you know about arm wrestling, Tony?
Everything I know about arm wrestling, I learned from the great film Over the Top.
Okay.
So I know that there are national championships, and I know that the best way to train is to only train one arm. Don't train your arms equally. You don't need it.
Now, do these arm wrestling things usually happen in meat packing plants?
No, they happen in like arenas in this movie. So I don't know which one's telling the truth. It's probably somewhere in the middle. I don't know.
Because in Over the Top, I believe there's a big one in a meatpacking plant, isn't there?
Is it? I'm sure there is. I don't remember.
We should
watch that movie. That movie's a 10 out of 10.
I don't know if that movie's terrible enough. I think it's just dopey.
It's just great. I made my wife watch it, and she will never let me forget it. She hated it. So
the arm wrestlers are Jack Daniels, who is played by Big John Studd, who was a wrestler. He's huge,
giant man.
Yeah. He sees Harley, finishes his match, and then attacks Harley. We get a big fight, and he's like, they go out the window, and I'm going to kill you, and all this stuff. and then he decides not to kill him.
Yeah, and then they're like friendly. I don't know. It's great. I love it.
The scene is really weird. They get really close, and it really feels like they're going to start making out.
Yeah, but so here's the thing: is this movie's all about like brotherly love, not like familial brotherly love, but like your bonds that And so they get their shit out, they get their adrenaline, they fuck each other up a little bit, and then they're like, "Oh fuck, man, I love you, I love you, man." And I was like, I get that, I relate to it. I've never had like a knockout brawl like that, but you get into spats with your friends, and then you're like, "Ah, fuck," but you're my boy. I can't stay mad at you. You're my boy. Let me punch you one time in the face and then we'll hug it out. I love it.
Didn't you feel like they were going to start making out?
I felt there was a couple moments that I felt I thought they would kiss. And then there's a moment later where I was like, oh, there might be something between the two leads. I really thought that.
It's strange.
I still do.
Jack's angry at Harley. The fight. Looks like they're going to kiss. Then they make up. And then we learn all about the lease, and their new lease is going to be like $2.5 million for 5 years.
Oh. Yeah, which is a lot, I feel, but I don't know.
For a lease, I don't know.
So let's think about it. 5 years, that's like $500,000 a year, right? Am I doing that right?
Yeah, that's not crazy. Right. That's not actually not crazy.
I guess it's not crazy. I don't know. Feels like a lot of money. I don't have that kind of money.
I mean, a good bar should be making a lot of. I mean, you make so much money on alcohol. It's crazy.
I suppose. Yeah. I suppose that's true. I should start a bar. Dan, before we move on, I think I missed a very important line in the movie that I wrote down. It was back when they are doing the guns at the motorcycles.
Yeah.
And Don Johnson is telling him how to shoot a gun. He says, squeeze the trigger. Don't yank it. It's not your dick, Harley.
He does say that.
And it's called back later, so I just thought it was important to put that out there as one of the best lines in movie history.
So the plan is they're going to rob the bank that they have to pay the lease to. Quid pro quo, give us.
It feels like a leap to me. Did this come as a surprise to you?
No.
Oh, really? Because there's no like build up to it. I mean, Don Johnson is like listening, and he knows immediately what Mickey Rourke's character is going to say, but he hasn't said it. And he's like, "Don't say it, Harley. I don't want to hear it, Harley." And I was like, "What? I don't understand. I'm so far behind." And he's like, "He's going to tell us to rob the bank." And I was like, "What? Why would he do that?" I was shocked.
Well, because it's a form of comeuppance against the bank for it demanding all that money.
I guess so, but I don't feel like it's out of. That's why I was asking if that's expensive. I mean, it's expensive, but you are around an international airport, a lot of business, and they really want to. I don't know. It just is. I don't know. Is the bank being crazy? That's what we need to find out.
Is it egregious? It's probably slightly. I mean, it is egregious considering what you've been paying, but again,
sure.
If you're right there as a bar like that amidst skyscrapers, you're going to do incredible lunch business. Business.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
anyhow,
but we have to have a villain, and that's the chosen villain.
Well, I mean, Tom Sizemore. That's a good choice. He's great villain.
Great choice of villain. Too bad he wasn't in this movie.
Well, he's in it for a little bit at the end.
Is he?
Yeah, like 3 minutes. He gets like 3 minutes of screen time.
He literally has like one line where he gets to sort of Sizemore it, and you're like, there's the Tom Sizemore we love. Yeah. I wish there was a lot more of that. But did we love him
before? Where is this on the Sizemore scale?
It seems like it's Daniel Baldwin's kind of first film.
Okay.
It also seems like Sizemore's done some stuff, but this is his.
But he's not. Yeah.
This is, I think, Private Ryan is 6 or 7.
Coming up.
Private Ryan was 1998, so that's 7 years away. He's creeping up.
They didn't know what they had yet, probably.
Well, they picked him as the villain. They knew what they had. They just didn't write a good part for him.
Wow.
Okay, you could say it's a great part, but
I'm not saying it's a great part. I'm saying when they cast him to fill a small role, right? And they were like, "Wow, this guy's great for this little role." But had he been Tom Sizemore at the time, they would have been like, "Let's add more stuff for him to do."
Yes.
I don't know.
Somebody needed to say, less of Daniel Baldwin's face and guys walking with machine guns and more of
weird leather trench coats or something. I don't know.
They're called dusters.
Fucking weird. Dusters. I'm sorry.
So Jack, the arm wrestler, he goes off. He's married to Lulu. You're like, I don't understand that at
Great
all.
work. Oh, he's an arm champion. So
He's an arm champion.
that's what I said.
Okay, what's happening now? Okay, so it's just like Ocean's 11. Immediately the plan.
Just like it.
Zero planning. Immediately they've got all the equipment they need. They know where the armored car is. They divert it. The funniest thing is I know exactly what streets they're on. That one of the buildings there is like an artist building that we used to go to all the time in my old job.
Oh, I love that.
Very
love
funny.
that.
Downtown LA, they send them down this thing, and that's where you would send someone off a street because there are all sorts of dead end streets because of the river and the freeways and stuff.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then we do the hold up of it,
which is incredible. Did you hate it?
Well, what happens is, Don Johnson's on top and they shoots the belt off and,
don't say it. Don't say that so nonchalantly. This is a cool moment, okay? So Mickey Roarke is down on the ground and he's like sitting there pretending to be a construction worker. The guy comes up with a gun. Don Johnson comes up on the roof of this fucking truck, shoots the gun out of his hand, and then shoots his belt off of his body. That's incredible. He doesn't shoot the guy. He shoots the belt. It's insane. All right.
And Mickey Rourke at one point, to distract them, throws his shotgun to them. And there is a running joke about, you're supposed to shoot the gun, not throw the gun.
Guns are meant to be shot, not thrown, Harley.
And there's a couple of jokes like that. They're good jokes. They're really good jokes. Man. But the problem is they press the alarm in the thing, and then the bad guys in 1 minute show up in a sedan, and it's Daniel Baldwin and four other guys wearing these black dusters with these spacey machine guns.
Well, it's 5 years in the future.
5 years in the future. And there's just like thousands of bullets flying in all directions and no one gets hit. And then Jack Daniels comes around because he wasn't going to be part of it, but he just decides to randomly show up.
Yeah, why not? I'll just hang out while
and
you guys shoot around.
He lays down his motorcycle and then it skids for about a quarter of a mile.
It's like 2 or 3 football fields, I'm pretty sure.
It just goes forever and then hits their car and their car explodes and then they escape.
Well, no, hold on. But they jump over it. You skipped over the part where it's heading straight towards the Baldwin gang and they literally jump over it. It's so funny. Oh, my God.
And it blows up their car, and then our heroes are able to escape down into the storm drains and ride away with all the money, which turns out to not be money, but this crystal.
Yeah, but drugs.
Crystal dream drugs.
Yeah, which I was confused a little bit, but it's fine.
And I understand where you're going plot wise, but it's terrible.
So here's my genuine question.
Yeah.
It's a bank truck.
Yeah.
It's scheduled to do this run. Like they know where it's going to be, what it's going to. So like you can't really sell only drugs on that truck. You could put the drugs on it with money, but there technically has to be money on it for it to be a sanctioned trip. Technically, I'm just saying.
Well, yes, because if they were going to find out about the armored truck, they would know the armored truck picks up at certain locations and then it goes to the bank. And so you'd be like,
they're not just like following it around randomly. Like they pick
on Thursdays it goes to Conroy's Flowers. And so we're going to go 1 mile away from Conroy's Flowers and wait for it to hopefully come this direction. Yes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any,
it's fine.
That aspect of it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Okay. We're not going to talk about it because you could say
I forgive it. I forgive it. Its sins, all of them.
Let's talk about the wrestler. Let's talk about Jack Daniels. He is one of the worst actors I've ever seen.
He's not good.
He's so terrible.
Listen, and this hopefully none of my wrestler friends watch this. It's not the same. Like,
no, it's not.
Your wrestling persona is not the same as acting.
Well, no. What we're going to say is there are wrestlers who can also act, but there are wrestlers who can just do wrestling stuff.
But there are very few wrestlers who can also act.
Okay.
A lot of them have tried, and there are very few that have succeeded. But what's interesting is when they do succeed, they're huge. Like The Rock or John Cena. Like it's, if you're able to make that transition, yeah, it's huge. People love it.
Yeah.
But this guy, it's not in the cards. I'm sorry, guy.
So their whole thing is we're not drug dealers, and so we can't just sell these drugs. And
which I appreciate.
Yeah, even though they're going to
have morals.
They end up we're going to sell them back to the bank.
Yeah, it's like you hold it ransom, and it's a dangerous game.
Then we give it back to them, and then they just sell it as drugs.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the same as, not the same, but it reminds me of also at the end when Don Johnson's like, I can't shoot him. He's unarmed. Like, it's a very thin line between like the only reason I'm not putting a bullet in your head is that you're unarmed. But as soon as you have a gun, I'll shoot you. I don't give a shit. So there's just, as long as I'm not the one selling the drugs, it's fine. You know what it is, Dan? It's like veganism. We
should be shooting them all.
No. Whoa. No, I'm saying like I don't have a problem with eating the meat. Like a lot of vegans are like, oh, you can't eat the meat. It's hurting the animals. I'm fine with the animals getting hurt. I just don't want to hurt them. You know what I'm saying? So I'll eat the meat, but if you ask me to go hunting and shoot a deer, cannot do it. I will cry. I've done it many times.
We've seen him crying. He does a lot of crying.
I do it. I'm an emotional guy.
So, yes. So, Daniel Baldwin reports back to Tom Sizemore. We meet Tom Sizemore, and he says,
he's in the movie.
He says, who are these guys? He says, they are dilettantes. Not the right word.
Nope.
Then we go back. We're at the diner. There's a hot waitress. She hits on Harley. He's playing with his food. Harley doesn't drink.
Now, Dan, let me ask you a question. As a man of the people, if you saw Don Johnson and Mickey Roarke, who are you going to hit on?
I'm going to be sitting there flirting with Don Johnson.
Right.
He was, I would almost say, as attractive as a man can be in this movie.
That's what I'm saying. And everyone seems to gravitate towards Harley. And I'm just like, I don't buy it. I'm sorry.
He's the star of the movie.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a star. Well, he is the star of the movie.
I mean, yes, you're right. But I just, it's hard. Listen, it's hard to buy. It's hard. It's hard to buy. And also, like, as a viewer, I'm like, I almost feel bad for Mickey that Don Johnson got cast as the second fiddle because he overshadows him so much.
It would be hard. It would be very hard to be working with someone that incredibly attractive.
And just charismatic. And he's the whole package.
And he's perfect in the movie. They don't really fly him up at all.
Nope, sir.
Mickey's character has all sorts of flaws.
He's got the flaws. Don Johnson's just like he's just a good dude.
I got no flaws.
Good, cool guy. I love it.
So then we have this whole weird Don Johnson on a motorcycle being chased by this cop. Then it's a lady cop, and then it's actually his girlfriend.
Wow.
Yeah, it's his girlfriend.
You're putting labels on things, Dan. I don't know if they go on that label.
Whatever. And so then they retire to her house, and then when they wake up, she's like, "I'm getting married. I love you, but I can't live like this."
Yeah. It makes me laugh because she said it after she had one last romp with him in the sack. Yeah. I was like, fuck you, lady. You don't deserve that last sex.
Shut up, Tony. Oh my God. Like every man in every movie would do shit like this. I like it.
Yeah, but not to my Don. Okay.
Yeah,
you don't do that to Don.
I'm getting married to another cop. Screw you.
Yeah. Oh man. Broke his heart. I was so mad at her.
One of the things I liked in this movie, she comes out and in the morning, there's Mickey Rourke making breakfast. Like kind of mediocrely. And then he's all like, this is for Marlboro Man. You and I, let's go out to breakfast. It's just like, what?
Like, wait, what?
I love that. It sort of subverts everything. It's like you would think the two of them would just have breakfast there and then he would
Yeah,
get up,
have
but
your
no,
eggs.
instead they just leave this food for him.
He's like, I made this for him. When he wakes up, he's going to need his protein from the eggs. He's got to recharge. You and I were going out. I love it.
So they go to breakfast, and did they even talk about anything?
I don't remember. They did. I just don't remember what it was.
So
I don't know.
She has to pay, and I just wrote down the one line, and she says, "The rest of us has to work so hard at life, and you just live life one day at a time." It's a good line. Interesting line.
It's a great line.
You know?
Yeah. And this is also where she tells him that the drugs are bad, right?
Yeah.
Where she's like, the drugs will kill you, essentially. They're very addictive and they'll kill you. And it's like, duh, lady, the drugs. I get it.
They kill like 7%, like just automatically die or something. It's like really, really terrible numbers. So they're going to go to the bank. They go to the bank. Here comes Tia Carrera, all dressed up in the shortest dress humankind has ever seen.
And then does nothing in the movie, which was my one, disappointment.
She stands behind Tom Sizemore in a later scene.
But, yeah, and so I'm just going to jump to that scene real quickly. They shoot the phone while he's on, Tom Sizemore on the phone. She's standing behind him at, his, 4:00 or whatever. They shoot the phone that's in between them. She has no reaction. She doesn't scream. She doesn't jump. She's just standing there. It doesn't do nothing. I don't think anyone told her what was happening, but it just made me laugh.
I'm on a movie set. Good enough.
Right. I love her.
So they're gonna. So they make their demands. $2.5 million plus $1. He bet Don Johnson $1 for something. I don't remember.
Yeah, it comes back. I don't remember it. I don't remember what the bet was.
Some small bet between the two of them. So boom. So they go. Nothing. It's kind of a non-scene scene. The negotiation is not really much of a negotiation.
Yeah,
they
it's
just
not much
go
action,
there,
excitement.
They just kind of leave, and then a helicopter brings the money, and they just do the exchange.
They do the deal. So the helicopter driver, can we talk about him? The pilot?
Is that who I think it is? Like some real TV star?
Oh, it could. I don't know. It could be. I was just laughing that Baldwin yells at him.
Yeah.
He's talking about. Wait a second. No. Is this the one that dies?
I don't know.
All right. At one point, the helicopter Tom. His name was Tom, the helicopter pilot.
No.
Is it the same guy at the end of the movie?
I don't know, because I thought this guy at the end of the movie was like some real TV star, and I tried to look him up, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the casting.
Is there a gunfight here? What happens?
No,
here?
Nothing happens. They just do the exchange.
So this must be,
and nothing happens. You're like, oh,
okay, because this must be the Tom guy.
They're at the place with all the old airplanes, which is super cool.
The airplane graveyard. Yeah. Okay, so this is Tom, the helicopter pilot, who comes back and saves the day. But Billy Baldwin, Tom is talking about how he lost his partner. His partner's dead. He's like, yeah, my partner died at some point. There was a gunfight. He died. And Billy Baldwin's just like, shut the fuck up, Tom. I was like, what? Why are you being such a dick to him?
Why are we spending...
we know why.
Yeah.
Because he comes back and he shoots them. He shoots all those guys.
Oh, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I loved it. I was like, oh, Tom gets to come back. Because I wrote down, I was like, oh, poor Tom. Just a day at work and he's just getting abused.
So was
but then he gets to come back and shoot a bunch of people.
What's the setup for the end of the movie?
Yeah, it's great.
That's good.
It's wonderful stuff.
So they do it. All's good. They go back to the bar. They're having drinks. Marlboro Man is sad, but he's not sad.
No, he's troubled.
He's troubled. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then the Dusters show up. They kill the old man. They shoot the place up. They shoot Giancarlo Esposito, who's playing the guy that's dressed up as a guy from the Beatles. The sergeant. He's dressed up as Sergeant Pepper's.
Okay.
And they kill the mute guy. So the only two people that are left are Harley and Marlboro Man, and then they flee.
Yeah. There's a great moment where and nothing like this happens in the rest of the movie, as far as I can tell. But when they shoot the old man,
Yeah.
they do a zoom in of one of the guys screaming, "No!" And it like zooms in really close to his face. No! And it's just like, you guys didn't use that camera move and any other place in the movie. And it's hilarious.
Then we have this, they run onto the tarmac of the Burbank International Airport, and then they
Can
hide.
you just do that? Can you just run out there? I don't. Maybe security was slack.
Can you climb a fence? Sure, you can do that.
But there's barbed wire on those fences,
oh
right?
yeah, and those fences are.
Well, whatever.
But, this was the '90s, and things were,
You're right. We let our kids do whatever we wanted back then.
Drinking from hoses and shit.
I still drink from hoses. I don't give a shit.
I know, you're a rebel. So there's sort of chase, and then they end up like getting in the inside of a plane, and then they start loading the luggage on. And it's really nice comedic thing where you were like,
yeah,
they could have played that for a beat or two more, I think.
Sure. And then, but I mean, it's great. It's a great little scene.
And then one of the guys they shoot one of the luggage handlers, and his body goes
yep.
up in there, and
they pull him in with them, and I was like, okay.
And
going for a ride.
They end up flying away on this plane to get away.
Now, I have a real question, Dan.
Yeah.
What happens when they land? They have kidnapped a lady baggage claim person, and they have a dead body with them.
Yeah, I know.
As soon as someone comes to open that door, they'll be like, what the fuck is going on? But we skip it. We skip over it. No big deal.
Just let it be. No, I know. It's kind of weird.
It's incredible. No, I loved it.
And I mean, if it was a better movie, we'd have figured out a way to, it would just be one luggage handler, and then they would be up there, and then that guy would get shot and be dead down there, and then the thing would close, and they'd fly away, and then we'd have a thing with them getting off, which would be very hilarious.
Right, yeah. Maybe like, excuse me. Just walking by the guy, yeah.
I am very dissatisfied with this flight. No in-flight service. I will not be flying with you again. As they
baggage handlers just like,
off. What?
It'll be good.
Yeah. That's the one of the things that this movie doesn't do is it doesn't confront the inconsistencies so as to find novel ways to get to solutions.
Yeah, and humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it'd be there.
Okay, so they get there. Now they're in Vegas, and now the two of them are adversarial because things went wrong and all their friends are dead.
Things went south, and Mickey Rourke doesn't seem to give a shit.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Mickey Rourke doesn't care. He's defiant. So Marlboro Man punches him and yells at him like, our friends are all dead. What's wrong with you?
4 people and you don't care, man.
And then Mickey Rourke's character's like, they knew the risk, and he's just kind of a dick. And he's
a super dick. Yeah,
he kind of doesn't ever evolve from that even through the rest of the movie.
Well, I would argue because then in a little bit they're going to go on a train and they finally officially separate, and then he comes back, which it doesn't make any sense, but we'll talk about it. So he comes back for his friend.
And we see that the dollar coin is the bug, so we're like, oh, we're gonna keep being followed.
Here's what I thought was going to happen. The very next thing that Don Johnson does is he goes downstairs, calls his cop girlfriend in the middle of the night, tells her where he is. And I was like, she's going to turn you in. It turns out those two things were unrelated, and I was like, all right, that's weird. Why did he tell her where he is? Doesn't make any sense. But it's fine. It's cool, man.
And then he sees the bad guys. They run up the stairs. They go to the roof. Bang, bang, bang. Their desk door, and the devil's knocking. They got to jump off the roof down into the pool and escape that way.
Now, I should have looked this up. What came first, Lethal Weapon or this?
I bet you Lethal Weapon.
Well, it's either 2 or 3. I can't remember which one. It must be 2 when they're with Leo and they go out the window of the hotel into the pool. I was like, this is a very similar scene. Yeah. But it's cool. I laughed. I had a good time. Don Johnson, obviously it's not Don. It would be his stunt double. But just flails down to the pool. Like Mickey Roarke does like a feet first dive into the pool. The person who's doing Don Johnson is like going head over heels, like flipping into the pool. And I was like, that guy's dead. If he jumped off that roof flipping like that, he's going to land bad. He's going to break his back. It was cool though. It's good.
So now we're on And somebody punched somebody before the jump.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke punches Don Johnson. Is basically like, you can hang up here and die. I'm gonna give this a shot because this is for sure death. We don't know what's gonna happen if we jump over here.
So now they're on a train. We have to go back. I ain't doing it. Better to be dead and cool than alive and uncool.
Which is one of my favorite lines, but I just staunchly disagree.
Yeah.
I would much rather be alive. I'm not cool to begin with, but I would pick alive over dead any day.
Yeah. So Don Johnson's character then in the middle of nowhere jumps off the train as opposed to...
And then must walk back to LA?
Doesn't make any sense. But he needs to make a point of not being friends anymore, so he jumps off the train.
Yeah, jumps off a moving train, which is great. Well, what I do appreciate is when Don Johnson, he lands and he sits up, he's holding his arm as if it hurt a little bit. And I was like, what a great acting choice that is. Most people wouldn't do that, I feel. They'd just be like, well, I jumped off a train. I'm fine. But he's like, ow, I jumped off a train. That was a weird choice. And I don't know. I liked it. I appreciated it. I love Don Johnson.
So he goes to see the girlfriend in her weird suburbia, and her boyfriend's
and
there.
And again, seems like he walked there because he doesn't have a car. Nope. He doesn't have a motorcycle there.
Nope.
He just shows up. I think he walked all the way back straight to her house.
The boyfriend's all angry. The girlfriend's like, let me talk to him for 1 minute. And they go.
Of course the boyfriend's angry, you guys. I don't know if he knows that they sleep together, but the weird, handsome stranger shows up in the middle of the night asking for your wife. No, sir. I don't think so.
It's the morning. It's mid-morning.
Oh, mid-morning. It's still dark out.
No, it's mid-morning. He jumped there. Yeah, it's mid-morning.
I don't know.
It was nighttime that they were at the house the other time.
Whatever.
I think. I don't know.
I think you're wrong. I think this is nighttime.
No, it's daytime because when Harley rides up, it's daytime.
I don't... I mean, well, listen.
Oh, maybe really it's nighttime.
I think it's nighttime.
Maybe it is. You're an idiot.
Because she's in a robe. She comes out in a robe.
Oh, you're right. It may be
a very sexy robe. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's daytime when they leave. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay, so Harley comes riding up on a motorcycle. They make up. They rode away. Once again, a part where she didn't really get to make a comment about their bromance, and there was there was some stuff you could have mined there that would have been, I think, a little more interesting.
For sure. I do love the line that Mickey Roarke delivers, which is, sorry, I'm late. I had to make a pit stop in Denver.
And because there was something about Denver. They made another Denver line earlier.
Yeah. So here's my thing, though, is he showed up, I don't know, 10 minutes after he showed. He's not really late, especially if Don walked. He's actually right on time.
Well, more importantly, he was on a train going somewhere and then was able to take whatever train to where he needs, so he's gonna beat him there, even if he hangs 100%. Out in Denver for a while.
Yep.
Who knows? Then we do the whole thing. They're back on the sign and we talk about the boots, and Harley's got a new gun, and they do some talk about guns.
Yeah. And he's like, no one can learn on that gun. He's like, I did. And I was like, oh, that's a story that we aren't going to get, but I like it.
And more importantly, it's not a true story because he is not competent on the gun. It's him talking out of his ass. I think
that's the joke, is he's like, I learned on... Don Johnson's like, nobody can learn on that gun. He's like, well, I learned on that gun. And it's like, oh, that's why you can't shoot for shit, because you learned on a gun that has so much kickback that you're shooting the fucking ceiling before you even realize it.
I think they should have put that in there, because I was expecting Harley to be more effective with this gun. So when he was even less effective with this gun, I was like,
even worse.
Wait, he just told me
all over the place.
He told me he learned on this gun, so he's good with this gun, but he's not. He's terrible.
No, he's not good at all. And let's just take a moment to talk about Mickey Rourke's gun skills. Do you think that it's an acting choice that he doesn't know how to hold a gun because his character's a bad shot, or did the script evolve when they saw him hold a gun and they were like, this guy can't shoot a gun? We're going to have to make his character not be able to shoot a gun.
Does he hold the gun weird?
He holds it so weird. He holds it, his elbows are bent, and he's holding it like the old spy movies. The problem with that is, the kickback it will hit him right in the face. That gun has so much torque to it, it'll break his fucking nose.
Don says that, I think, doesn't he?
I don't know if maybe he does. He should if he doesn't. Somebody should tell him. But he doesn't hold a gun right.
So I didn't notice that as much because I'm not a gun person. So that is Tony's a big gun person. So there you go.
Yeah, I have big guns. I got lots of guns, America.
So they turned back on the thing. They're back at the graveyard. And so the Duster guys show up, and then we just have a lot of battling.
Of very slow gun battling.
Yeah.
There's a lot of downtime in between bullets.
Yeah, good day for dying.
I did like that. He's like, I can either kill you fast or I can kill you slow. And Dodger's like, it's a good day for dying. Make it slow. I'm like, fuck, you're cool, dude. Yeah. But this is so. One thing I will say is they have to shoot him in the heads because their jackets are made out of Kevlar, which is silly. But there's a couple times where they shoot a guy and it looks like he gets hit in the head. He does the whip back thing. Blood appears on his face somewhere and then he keeps coming. And I'm like, what? I don't understand what's happening. Are their heads also made out of Kevlar? But I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah. And eventually they just kind of win.
Well, hold on, Dan. You're skipping over a great moment. Okay. So here's what happened. Billy Baldwin's got
Daniel
Don Johnson.
Baldwin.
Shit, what's his name? Daniel
Baldwin.
I think I've been calling him Billy the whole time. I don't know.
Billy's the young one.
Who's Steven? Okay. So the Baldwin in this movie has got Don Johnson by the short and curlies. He's got him all holed up. He's got a gun to his head. And Harley shows up and Marlboro Man goes, "Oh, I'm fucked." something to that effect.
The other thing is, and so, yeah, he's holding the gun like this, and Mickey Rourke's doing stuff with his face. He's all like,
yeah, I can't see anything. Like, I was like, oh my God, he's going to shoot him in the face.
So he's really not acting at all cool while he's trying to do this. He's very uncool.
He's very uncool.
Yeah.
And then he shoots Don Johnson in the arm. And I love that moment. I laughed out loud. I thought that was hilarious. He's like, squeeze it, don't pull it, shoot him. And they shoot him right in the fucking arm. I was like, that's great, guys. Good for you. And then, of course, then he's like, he shoots again and shoots the gun straight up into the air. Don Johnson grabs it, and then they just blow the shit out of Baldwin. Like, they shoot him like 9 times in the face. Bits must be flying off everywhere. There's brain stuff everywhere. And then Don Johnson yells at Mickey Roarke for shooting him, and I love it. He's like, "You shot me, you shithead," or something like.
No, you shot me, you shit bird. He calls him a shit
that's
bird.
What it is. Even better.
Yeah, and there was a line, good. "Shit in a bear's ass," which I don't remember what that was about, but I wrote that one down.
Oh, that's Mickey Rourke is like getting shot at, and he's trying to reload his gun, and he's just like, he's cursing.
Shit in a bird's ass. And we do a whole thing about his bullets costing $2 each. And each time he shoots, he's wasting the $2. And these are all good lines. And if it was a really fun gun battle action scene that like made a lot of sense, you'd have been like, oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. But there's some fun stuff, though.
Part of the problem is the Duster guys play it like they're robots.
Correct. They are basically T-1000s or Terminators.
T-1000's fine.
Well, the T-1000 runs. That's why I took it back. The T-1000 is the one that does the running. So it's not that. He's more of the Schwarzenegger type.
Terminator.
The older models.
Terminator robot. And so it doesn't feel real. It just feels cartoony and like not in a good cartoony way. And so they sort of pull into the humor and pull out of the humor, and they didn't reach like this either a good happy medium or lean into one or the other. Yeah, where you're right. This is where we need to. This is the lane that really works because the bits are good and they're memorable. You know, the $2 bullet thing, very memorable.
Yeah, great stuff.
But not used to great effect. That's 100%. What it is. It's a lot of good stuff not used to great effect.
I will not argue with that. I think you're spot on the money, Dan.
So they hire the helicopter pilot and go to the bank.
Which is Tom. Yeah.
Go to the bank, shoot the phone, and they're like, "We're gonna give
Wait,
you."
hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, Dan. Wait. So they land on top of the bank, which I don't think you can just land on helicopter pads. I think you have to be cleared. Doesn't really matter.
No, you can't.
But they
You
land on
you
the
can land
thing.
wherever you want.
Is that true?
Do you have
Wait,
to?
I can't tell
Are you
if you're being
supposed to
serious.
file a flight plan for things? Of course, but
Sure,
you can just
but
land
you
up
can
there.
technically. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good for them then.
You may get in trouble if you do things wrong, but
Well, sure, but Tom
don't
doesn't care anymore.
Doesn't care.
So they land, and then Mickey Rourke takes a bundle of bills out of his bag, hands it to Tom, the pilot, and he goes, "This is your last paycheck. You work for us now." Which doesn't make a ton of sense. I was like, so you work for us, but we don't pay anybody? So this is the last time you're getting paid. It's basically what I got out of that line.
You work for, yeah. It should
Which
be, you should be, here's money. You work for us now. And he's like, yes, I do.
Right. Or it should just be like, this is your last paycheck. Live your life, because we don't need a helicopter pilot ever again. Like, I don't understand.
You got to pick one of the other.
Right?
It's like fun lines, but they don't match up with what's happening.
Necessarily, it doesn't make a ton of sense. But I don't know. I thought it was funny.
So Sizemore does a whole thing about, making all this money on the drugs.
So much, apparently.
And then we have the line, you can't just shoot him. Or do we already have the machine gun? No.
Yeah, the machine gun comes after he can't shoot him.
A bunch of other bad guys show up. And so then the helicopter comes down, and then it has a machine gun that drops out, and it kills the entire office.
Tom saves the day, and I love it.
And
I
all
love
the people.
Great stuff. And then, of course, Tom's not dead, so Tom gets up, and then they have like a little fist fight. And then Don throws him the gun? Is that what he does?
Yeah.
And then beats the shit out of him?
Yep.
And then they're fighting, and then Sizemore's about to go out the window, and he grabs the boot. He grabs onto Don's boot, and the boot is slowly tearing, and Mickey Roarke has to jump in. He grabs onto Don, and then the boot tears in half, and that's how he loses half his boot. And Sizemore, he falls for a while. They show it all the way down, which is pretty wild.
Pretty good fall. And we get the callback. Guns are made to be shot, not thrown. Nice little callback.
Yeah, which is nice. Yes.
Then we have the final scene. Don Johnson has rejoined the rodeo and is doing his rodeo thing. And Harley Davidson.
They're just having a brotherly goodbye.
Harley Davidson is leaving, so he goes to get on his motorcycle, and there's a super hot hitchhiker. And
you're skating over it. This ending is incredible to me.
This
ending, the beginning and the ending of the movie are a 10 out of 10. Everything else is like a 7 out of 10, which is still good. It's still very good.
Yeah.
But so they have this great emotional moment. He's like, come with me. And he's like, I can't. I got unfinished business here. And he's like, I got to hit the road. That's who I am. So like they know who, and they continually through their lives, they go apart and come together and go apart because they're family. They're not bound by blood, but they're bound by love. I love this. And then Rourke gets on his hog and starts driving away. And then we cut to just this smoking hot body with a thumb out. And I was like, first of all, lady, this is how you die. Yeah, this is not a good idea whatsoever.
Bad idea. Very bad idea.
This is a terrible lesson for anyone. But then Rourke is like, where you headed? She says, nowhere special. And he's like, I'll take you. I was like, fuck, that's the coolest you've been all movie, Rourke. Without a doubt. My problem is that then she gets on the motorcycle and instead of sitting on it like a human, she wraps her legs around Mickey Rourke. And I was like, that's not, first of all, if you're hitchhiking with a strange man, don't get that close to him right away. Okay. There's lessons that you need to learn from this movie, guys. But that's also just a very dangerous way to ride on a motorcycle.
That's my favorite part of the movie, Tony. I'm like, all right, Mickey.
All right.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's ridiculous. This movie's very fun.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah. Don Johnson should have been a megastar. Let's just call it as it is. This guy, I don't know what happened. He got robbed.
Yeah. We'll have to look at the rest of his career and see. But I was talking to Shannon. It's like he played the dad on Eastbound and Down, which he's great as that.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
He did tons of stuff. He's in the Watchmen TV series. Had a really nice little.
And he's
part
in. He was in Kenan, that sitcom.
Was he?
Right. I think he plays like his stepdad or something like that.
So
something.
Every time he shows up, he's got the charisma, he's got the looks, he's got the gravitas. He's great.
He's very cool.
You know,
Very, very cool.
it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Tony,
I enjoyed it. Yes.
tell us something else you liked this week.
Yeah, no, because this movie I did have
Yeah.
a great time. So great job. Great pick, Dan. The thing that we watched last week for movie night, I loved this movie. It's of course Day Shift on Netflix. With
the Jamie
Jamie
Foxx
Foxx
thing?
hunting
Yeah.
vampires. It was cool. He's cool too. Speaking of guys that are just cool, Jamie Foxx is fucking cool, man.
I watched a thing this morning where it was like him and like 4 of his buddies hanging out, and he was doing Trump. He does a perfect Donald. He's like,
Does he?
I've said it before on this show. He is the most talented person I think on the planet.
He is.
I don't
Yeah.
know
He's
anybody that's more
incredible.
talented than him.
He's so cool.
He's an incredible stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
He's incredibly funny and charismatic in real life. He's an incredible impressionist at all times.
Apparently, yeah.
He's a good actor. He's attractive.
He's a great actor.
It's like,
He's beautiful.
what does this guy can't do?
He still looks great.
Looks
man.
great.
He is. It's unbelievable. And the person who directed Day Shift was one of the stunt people on John Wick, one of the choreographers. So the fighting is fucking sick. And they use what are bendy people? Not extortionists.
Contortionists.
Contortionists.
He is extortionist. You're going to give me all your money, and I'm going to leak all of your secrets out.
Your movie. So they use these incredibly talented contortionists as the vampires. So the vampires are doing like fucking like bending and rapping, and there's some just incredible stunts in this movie. Super fun to watch. I'd give it a shot.
I watched the beginning. I liked it. He was great. Seemed like an interesting premise, an interesting cast. So I'll probably never go back to it, but it was.
That's okay. I'll go back to it in October. So
it wasn't Brightburn.
Oh, boy.
Was that the terrible one? Was that Will Smith?
Oh, you just mean Bright when he's like the cop?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not that. It's much better.
Bright's the one with like the orcs in LA, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's a cop and his partner's. Yep.
So my wife has been watching this show. I don't know where it's. I think maybe it's on HBO Max or on Netflix. It's called BuzzFeed Unsolved. Supernatural. So
I'm into it so far. I'm not gonna lie.
It's these 2 guys from BuzzFeed, and some of it there's a couple different series, and like one they were like talking about like the Illuminati, and they do history of like conspiracy. There's one maybe all about conspiracies. So talk about all these conspiracies. Really fun. The 2 guys have great interaction. They're actually funny.
Oh wow!
But on the Supernatural one, it's them doing the stupid ghost show. And so they go to the ghost places, and the one guy is 100% a believer, and the other guy is like, this is such a bunch of bullshit.
Classic. Yep, classic.
And there was one where like the guy that believes is just like laying in bed, can't sleep for an entire night. There's never been a night in my life that I would not fall asleep. I've fallen asleep.
100%.
Like, how could you not fall asleep? It's like, okay, if I fall asleep.
He's scared out of his mind.
He is so scared. He cannot sleep, and his eyes are just move. She's just like, ah. So there's like tons of episodes. So she's been watching them all. I haven't watched them all at all, but they're very.
I'm
funny.
into it. That sounds fun though.
And they got some new ghost piece of equipment that like goes, and it's just so annoying. And the dude is like, he just wants to believe.
I get it. I just had a great conversation about ghosts.
Oh, you
last
did?
night.
Yeah, Mr. Ghostman.
The costume lady from the movie that I just did a very, very small role in. Yeah. Her family was on either the very first episode or season of the show called Dead Files, which is all about shadow people and ghosts. And apparently her house is very haunted. She said that there's 5 ghosts there.
5 ghosts.
Some great stuff. I heard a lot of great stories last night.
Yeah. All of them. The complete delusions of people.
Wow, Dan Goodsell. Non-believer, guys. Non-believer here.
Ghosts I do not believe in.
I want to. I do.
Although we did have a creepy single large footprint, like leading up our stairs this morning.
Dan.
Like someone not, it's like a ghost not wearing any shoes, like walking
Sure.
up our stairs,
Dan,
stepping in the mud.
you got a friend. You
Yeah.
got to call him out. Get out your Ouija board, baby. I'm coming over.
We got our first ghost. So next week for our movie, we're going to do another viewer's choice because someone actually left a comment and they said, do Avatar. Not Avatar The Last Airbender, but Avatar James Cameron's seminal 2 hour and 41 minute classic.
Dan, this might be controversial. I'm willing to posit that I like it less than Last Airbender. I hated this movie when it came out.
Well, maybe you'll love it this time, Tony.
I've
noticed with you as time goes by, you're more and more lenient towards movies.
I do lighten up. I have initial hatred, and then I sit on it for years, and it builds up. That's what happens. So there's a chance that I'm going to blow up at this movie next week.
Now, were you and I talking? Or maybe I was talking to Shannon, and she's like, why? Or maybe I was talking to my buddy Todd, talking to somebody, and they said,
okay,
why did James Cameron invest in, why is he making 7 of these movies? And we'll talk about
okay.
that. Why?
Okay, yeah, save it.
Just think about why.
Save it for Avatar week.
Yeah, because I definitely have some opinions and some ideas about this movie, and we're gonna have to do some research. I'm gonna go watch some James Cameron, see what he has to say about all this.
Oh, you're gonna watch him talk about it?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna watch the movie and gripe about it. That's it.
The other thing you can watch if you want to do some research is this girl I always watch, Jenny Nicholson.
Okay.
She did a whole thing where she went to the Avatar theme park in Florida because there's a theme park in
I did
Universal.
not know that was the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to go watch something, you might want to watch a little something about the theme park.
What's her name?
Jenny Nicholson.
All right,
you
guys.
can probably
that's a free plug for her on our show.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But she does a tons of funny videos. All of her videos are great.
Okay.
But she's a big theme park person, and she did one where she just is like, maybe now she's in Europe going to all these European theme parks.
I want to do that.
Yeah. Well,
we got to make some money on this podcast so I can travel for it. Okay.
We need to make some money so we can make funnier videos and make you watch a lot of, it's like, if this thing ever blew up, this whole show would be me finding ways to torture you. That's what the show would be.
I feel like that's kind of how it started, and then we kind of got away from it just because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah. All we would do is watch every other week. We would watch a Pixar movie and a foreign film. That's what we would do, just to fuck each other up.
You would just be hating your life. And I'd be like, we're going to run out of Pixar films before we run out of foreign films.
A finite number of Pixar films. Lots of subtitles.
It was funny. We were watching this other thing. What was it called? Cursed Films, which was like a Shudder Network thing. They're talking about, there's like 2 seasons. The first season was, like Exorcist and Carrie and, or whatever.
Of course,
movies that had problems on the set. And then the second season, they were just like, we're going to do whatever goddamn movies we want.
Yep.
And one of the movies they did was this movie called Stalker, which was Andrei Tarkovsky, another person you've never heard of. And
so it's not Keanu Reeves.
No, it's not Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
It's sort of a Russian art science fiction film. And I was just like, who in the hell makes a whole TV show on the Shudder Network about a goddamn super weird, foreign film where they have to go to Russia and talk to Russian people about the making of this film? And it was just, everyone in the film died. And it was just
Jesus
super
Christ,
great.
Really?
I'm just like, why can't I make Tony watch that film? How can I not I should be paid to make Tony watch this film.
You should not be.
Yes, I should. Tony and I should both be paid to make Tony watch.
Yeah, there you go. Movie. Equally parts, right? Or is it 50-50?
Yeah, 50-50. No.
Yes, I'm doing great.
75-25, Dan.
I'll take it. I'll do whatever I need to do, okay?
So this has been the show. Thank you. Be hitting up
It's
Avatar
called The
next
Watcher.
time.
It's called The Watcher. That was the Keanu Reeves movie I was thinking of. I apologize. Not The Stalker, The Watcher.
I think there's another new movie out called The Watcher. It just came out.
Oh, Jesus, guys. Unbelievable.
Some blonde woman that gets creeped on.
Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, I'm sorry. Close the show. I'm sorry.
I'm closing the show. God damn it, Tony. If you shut up.
I can't. I
can't
do it.
shut up. I'm an actor. I have to act and talk. And talking is what I do. I do
Acting.
that for you'll believe my emotions. I'm being emotional.
Listen to me now. That's my Spider-Man 2.
I don't know if I've seen that. I kind of tuned out. Like by the time they got to the Venom in those first ones, I was like, yeah, this is really. I mean, Sam Raimi's great, but I
do like Sam Raimi.
So if you like what you see in here, leave us a comment, leave us a like. If you have a suggestion for a movie, we've done it twice now.
Follow us on social media. We have a Twitter account that neither of us post to. Look it up. It's called Hate Watching DAT or something stupid like that. Because there was a finite number of characters I could use. I started it when we started this thing, and I just remembered that I did it. And we have one follower, and I'm pretty sure it's me. Like I'm pretty sure it's my personal account following it. So guys, hit that up. I'm not going to post on it, but you can add us. Add us all you want.
I still have like a Facebook account for the Mr. Toast game. And every once in a while, someone will come in there and be like, we have a question about the game. And then I'll answer that.
Like, oh, boy,
it's
you
really
do?
funny. Yeah. Because a lot of times they're really big fans of the game. So it's very sweet usually.
Yeah.
Well, I think Tony and I are going to go both looking for lunch in all the wrong places. Nom, 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 nom,
looking for lunch in all the wrong places.
So, yeah.
I was just going to say, we'll see you next week, but you say it.
We'll see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, watch it!